Good morning, good morning. And welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. A spiritual community utilizing ancient wisdom and applying wisdom of the divine to empower our lives and the lives of others. We're so glad that you're here with us today. And as we continue with our monthly series of passion and purpose, today we want to look at, as Rumi said earlier, the good, the bad, and the ugly of passion. The good, the bad, and the ugly of passion. Now, when we think about passion, as a little recap, passion is this whole idea of inspiration and motivation coming together to be a driving force for us to reach our dreams. Inspiration and a motivation. Now, often those two words are used interchangeably, but I believe, and I think Webster, my good friend Webster, would bear me out on that. But the challenge that we have is that when we get that first spark of passion, there's an energetic jolt within our bodies, within our mind, that energizes us, and we have these infinite thoughts of possibility of what we can do. But if we sit with it a little while and we're not secure in that idea or that thought, we begin to doubt it. We begin to doubt it. And it leads us to this place of paradox. Now, if anyone's ever been in a paradoxical situation, it's not a comfortable situation. And when I say it leads us often sometimes to this paradoxical situation, because we have this passionate spark happens. We say we want to play the piano, or we want to run a marathon, or we want to find a new job or a new partner. When that passion hits, we're ready to go. But the longer we don't take action, the longer we sit with it, we begin to find some chinks in the armor, as they say. Well, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm smart enough, or I don't know if I'm whatever enough, right? So we begin to do that, and it causes us to not be energized by passion in a direct line. We begin to falter. And when we do that, the problem becomes passion becomes destructive. Passion becomes destructive. Because you see, if imagine having a fire that's contained. That's when I'm owning my passion. That's when I'm harnessing my passion, and I'm trying to live with it. But when I start getting doubtful, imagine that to a fire that's no longer contained. It causes us to do things that are not normal. Now, some people say, well, normal, what is normal? Well, I'll leave that to the individual beholder as to what normal really is. But we frequently find ourselves dealing with guilt and comparisons, right? And judgment of not only ourselves, but others as well. So we begin to allow this passion to filter out into a very unhealthy way. And that's when it becomes bad. When it's good, it propels us. It's a driving force. It motivates us. It transforms us to be something more than we thought we could be in that moment. But if we don't harness it, it becomes destructive. And so if we look at this first slide, I think it kind of sums up this idea where it says passion is a fire that can warm your soul, ignite your creativity, and propel you to greatness. Yet, if left unchecked, that same fire can consume your reason, scorch your relationship, and cast shadows where clarity once thrived. Embrace your passions with mindfulness, for within them lie the power to illumine or to burn. Now, when we look at that song that Melissa and Z were doing about this meditation and the chatter, here's what we're talking about. If you're criticizing and judging and comparing yourself, you go into that, I can't do this. I don't know how to focus. It's just too much going on. But when you can settle in and you can do that, now we're moving in a whole nother realm. And so we begin to see this double-edged sword, if you will, of passion. This double-edged sword of passion. And so when we are able to do that, we begin to be a little more mindful of ourselves, of our environment, of what we do with these surges of energy that well up in us. And now, if we look at the ugly side, I mean, we talk about the good and the bad. Nobody really wants to talk about the ugly side that much because, well, I guess maybe because it's ugly. But the deal is, that's when it becomes obsessive. Have you ever had a passion or something? It could be healthy or non-healthy. You want to start running, so you run. And then, your legs are hurting, your knees are hurting, you're thinking, man, maybe I should take a day off, let my body recoup. But when that passion turns to obsession, you don't even listen to that. You just go run again because, it's now become an obsession and there's no balance. There's no way of keeping these things in check. And it becomes a forest fire in your life. It becomes a forest fire in your life. And we know what that can do. And as we said in the beginning, we send all prayers and blessings to Maui. And if you have the possibility, send some money as well, because they're in need. So when we begin to look at this and we get fixed on a goal and become so obsessed with it, everything goes out. Ethics go out. Fairness goes out. Sense of reasonableness goes out. And that's not what this passion is about. The passion that is instilled in each and every one of us that helps us propel our purpose is a inspirational and motivational. As we said, we get the spark and then it drives us to transform. It drives us to be better. It drives us to help one another. And because we are here to love, serve, and remember who we are, passion is our best friend. Passion is our best friend because we begin to see everyone and everything as ourselves, and we're here to serve and nurture that so that it too can find its place, can find its magic, energetic button that moves it towards its greatness. And so as we do this, I got 3 points, 3 spiritual truths to help us deal with this good, bad, and ugly of passion so that we can obtain our purpose and move forward. So the first thing we have here is when Christian Sorensen says this: when you're too close to something, it's impossible to see the larger picture. The defense system of your myopic vision will keep you from going outside the norm and accept peer projections. Now, what are we saying there? We're saying that you have to keep these things in balance and perspective. There's a balance and perspective of life that has to be kept in balance. Now, we know that we're physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual beings. And we've all been in a place where one of those has not been balanced. We've been too spiritual and not enough physical, or too mental and not enough emotional. And when that happens, it becomes ugly. Think about a time, you know, I remember once when I was a kid, I wanted this gift. It was a rabbit. And I cried the dickens because I couldn't get the rabbit, because my mom said, "You're not going to take care of that rabbit?" "Oh, I'm going to take," "Yes, you're not going to take care of the rabbit." But I was so out of balance in such a tantrum that she broke down and got me the rabbit. Now, my passion at that point had just gone crazy. And because I had gotten out of balance, I was so enthralled of having this little pet, I didn't balance out the feeding it and the cleaning it and all of that stuff. So you know what happened to that? We didn't eat the rabbit. I want to say that right away. But we did wind up giving that rabbit away because I was not balanced enough to take care of it. So we must maintain balance. And one of the ways to do that is, as we said, there's balance and perspective, is we have to look at perspective. Kristen was saying we can't have this myopic view. I love this idea by Alan Watts that says, to be successful in life, you need to live in oscillation. You need to live in oscillation to be successful in this life, meaning that you have to go up and down, scanning. Because if you take a stamp and you look at that stamp in your hand, guess what it is? It's a stamp, right? You see the picture and the dollar amount. But if I take a microscope and I look at that stamp, it's just a myriad of dots and colors. And then if I get on top of the roof and look at the stamp, it's just a little bitty square. Can't make anything out. But each one of those perspectives is correct, but incorrect at the very same time. So if I become myopic and only look at one of those specific views or perspectives or perceptions of the stamp, I'm going to be off course. So to maintain the balance, we must oscillate. We must go from micro to macro to normal vision to really be successful. And if passion kicks in and we're not able to do that, you can see how that could get to be a problem. There's this story that I learned when I was in grad school about vision and balance and direction. So there's this construction company that's going down to build a road in the forest, big, thick, like rainforest. And so they go and they get there, and the one guy looks around and he looks at his map and he says, "Yep, this is it. This is the spot." So he brings in all the heavy equipment and they get ready. They start cutting down trees and everything. And the one guy, he sits there and he thinks, something is not right. So he climbs up one of the trees and he looks around and he realizes they are 2 miles off course. And he hollers down to his friend, "Wrong way, wrong way." And his friend on the ground hollers back up, "But we're making progress. But we're making progress." Now, how ridiculous is that? What kind of progress are you making if you're going in the wrong direction? And if we can't balance this passion, if we can't have a wider perspective, we'll be doing 100 miles an hour thinking we're getting somewhere, and we're in the absolute wrong place. So when we want to deal with this passion, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the first thing we need to do is understand and incorporate in our life balance and perspective. Balance and perspective. Now, the next thing that we have to move to, and this is one of my favorites, and this is a favorite, but it's also a place where you can become very obsessive. I'll just say that right now. And that is self-reflection and discipline. Self-reflection and discipline. Now, this slide that we have here for this one is very telling. This is what Brene Brown says. She says, because true belonging only happens when we are present, when we present our authenticity, imperfect self to the imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance, belonging. That's what this whole thing of self-reflection and discipline means. Because if you don't accept yourself or you don't know yourself, when you get a spark of passion that wants to drive and propel you, that's like what they used to call a loose cannon on a wooden boat, way in the middle of the sea. That's a problem. It's just bouncing around. You're all over the place. But when you can have some self-realization and you can have some discipline, now you can move around freely. And you use the cannon only when you need the cannonball and not let it just float around on the boat. Now, once that happens, we begin to look at this whole thing of emotions and impulses and all of those things that we sometimes have to discipline. Most of us, especially now, and we're in this environment where these teachings have permeated every aspect of our society. You cannot go to a corporate office of any measure, and I'm talking big ones like Apple and Microsoft and Amazon, where they are not talking about mindfulness, where they're not talking about manifestation, where they're not talking about how do we create relationships where 1 + 1 = 5. Because they're now beginning to see that these ideas of new thought, of change your thinking, change your life, are so prevalent that they're everywhere. But if they're not disciplined, if they don't have a self-awareness, they usually have the same challenge, if you will, of creating some monsters. Some very egotistical, very self-centered and self-serving individuals who don't understand the broader picture. We're back to that perspective again. They're trying to be the best that they can be in spite of everybody else. No self-reflection, no discipline to not want to have everything you want right now. You know, I like ice cream and cherries and plum, but if I get it all at one time, something's going to go to waste because I can't eat it all. It's the same thing here. We have to begin to discipline ourselves to really take advantage of this passion that is within us, this inspirational fire to be used to love, serve, and remember. What are we remembering? We're remembering that we are divine emanations of the Most High God. What are we remembering? That I am my brothers and sisters' keeper. That way I know I have to serve, and I do it with love, and we create this environment where all is welcome, where all thrives, a world that works for all, not just for me. But if we can't sort this passion thing out, and everybody, I'm sure, understands that, because I'm sure each and every one of us at some point, to some little degree, have found ourselves in those positions. And we know how destructive it can be if it's not contained. So once we've got balance and perspective, and once we've done some self-reflection and we're able to discipline our lives, our habits, the last thing that we need to deal with, another hard one, flexibility and accountability. How flexible and accountable are you in those 4 areas that we talked about? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. How flexible are you? How accountable are you? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. You know, you want to be like a willow tree and not like a pine tree. Because when the heavy winds come, the willow tree just, it sways in the wind. That pine tree, it tries to just rigidly stand there, and it either gets broken in half or just totally uprooted. And that's what happens with our lives if we're not flexible. If we're not flexible, if we're not able to flow with the wind. It's kind of like that, we have that spiritual saying, I'm in the flow. Well, just go watch a willow tree in a good wind. It's like a dance. It has that energy, but it's dancing with it. It's not trying to get here and just be rigid, one myopic view. Because if it does, it's going to serve the fate of the pine tree. It's either going to break or get totally uprooted. The accountability piece, though, is I think the crux of the matter. How accountable are you? How accountable am I? Accountable to who? Accountable to what? The rocks, the trees, the birds, the four-leggeds, your brothers and sisters, human society. How accountable are you to this idea? There was this movie back in the day called Stand and Deliver. It's about a teacher in an inner city school, and he had all kind of obstacles in front of him, but his passion was to help these kids get ahead. He'd been there. He knew the kids had that same fire, but the environment was not there. But he had this idea of, I am going to stand and deliver. I am going to be flexible and accountable to make sure the genius that I see in these kids, the passion that I see in these kids, gets propelled. And this is a true story. And all those kids, except for a few, went on to go to college and do great things when they had been written off as a menace to society. But because like attracts for like, the teacher was passionate, so he either cultivated the passion in the students or he showed them that the passion was already there, they just was overlooking it. So this flexibility and this accountability are key. And when you can stand and deliver, and you can look at this evolving world and be like a willow tree and not like a pine tree, success is at your hand. Now, if we look at this next slide, we get a sense here from Gary Zukav that says every circumstance serves equally the evolution of all involved, offering each individual the perfect opportunity to create anew and hopefully create more wisely and compassionately. More wisely and compassionately. And don't we need some wisdom and compassion today? Sit down. Don't take the whole 30-minute news cycle. Just take 5 minutes of it, because 30 minutes might be too much. Your passion may go wild and you might not be able to find some balance. But when you look just 5 minutes of a news cycle, that's the problem you have. There's no wisdom, it seems. And there's definitely very little compassion. But when we look at These three spiritual truths of finding balance and perspective, being self-reliant and self-reflective and disciplined, when we're able to be flexible and accountable, then we're able to look at all of the different aspects of passion, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and succeed and navigate the waters of life so that we continue to love, serve, and remember. And we know that we are brothers keepers. I want to read this summary here that I think really kind of puts this in perspective, encapsulated. It says this: dealing with good, bad, and ugly side of passion requires a commitment. Passion is a double-edged sword that can bring incredible fulfillment or lead to devastating ruin. It's up to each and every one of us to harness this power. Let us cultivate positive force on this journey that drives us forward, inspires us to create, and empowers us to overcome challenge. Because that's what passion and purpose allows us to do, to inspire, create, and overcome challenges. And so when we can do that, we are well positioned, if you will, to be successful. So now, as we think about this and we look for an affirmation this week that will keep us there, if we can get that affirmation, well, let's do the call to action first, because we always have to have those. So the first thing, start or increase your meditative practice. If you don't have one, start one. You start 5 minutes. If you have one, reinvigorate it. Jumpstart it. And the second thing is work with a practitioner or spiritual coach to better understand the energy of passion and how it shows up in your life. Is it helping you or not? And so to anchor this, we have this affirmation. I am a spiritual being living my perfect human experience. I am a spiritual being living my perfect human experience. Because when we do this, this allows us to just really be anchored in this whole idea. And I've repeated it, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's key to love, serve, and remember. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Mother God, that dual aspect of life that allows us to see things clearly, that allows us to move in a fashion of yin and yang, to create, to allow the fullness of life to be present at all moments. Because knowing that we are an expression of the divine idea of God, that we are here on a divine appointment with a specific mission to be the greatest that we can be. That we can step into our best life, not tomorrow, but now. To step into our best life now, because we are equipped with the internal flame, an inspirational light that allows us to illumine the world. And when we allow that to create a passion, when we allow that to create a guiding light for us, we can overcome all obstacles. We can find our way. We can help others find their way. And so we just anchor on that unity of life to guide us, to hold us, to mold us into the exact thing that God has created us to be. And so I know that for me and you and all that may listen to this later, that we are inspired to be the best version of ourselves, that we are going to cultivate that God-given spirit to allow us to work miracles, to be living examples of God, to be living examples of spirit in action, to be living examples of the sweet flow of life. And when we can do that, everything that we come in contact with will be inspired to do the same. And so I am thankful to have this opportunity to do that, to be this example, to exude spirit, to allow my light to shine so that I can continue to help myself and help others. And oh, what a Thanksgiving it's going to be when we all realize and recognize and allow our light to shine. And so in that Thanksgiving, in that understanding of gratitude, I release these words into a law, into an infallible law that is always working, that is always doing what it is intended to do. That is to raise each and every one of us to the absolute heights of the divine. And so with that, I just release this prayer, knowing that it is already heard, that it is already activated in our lives, and that it is moving us in the direction of our dreams. And so with that, I release, I let go, and I know that this is absolutely so. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Now I know I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child, and I hold myself